Ladies and gentlemen, we are live again this week for episode 263 of the Big Gold Belt Podcast. I am the host, as you see down there in the name, 2 James, and I am joined by my lovely comrades. And first off, I'll just make sure everyone give you salutations. Mr. Hillwill Mahoney.
How's it going? I didn't realize we are lovely this week, but it's very lovely to be here on the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast.
Mr. Damian Salty G.
What up, everybody? It's always good to be lovely this time of year, especially now that it's spring outside.
Okay. Let me have it too, sis. What you got?
I love you too. Hello, everybody.
We're just feeling the love this week on the Big Gold Belt. Lord knows we need it.
Yeah, we're doing our best. And again, we want to make sure we give our special wishes to everybody out there during this really crazy pandemic all over the world, all our fans from all over the world, or even our fans next door. Everyone's coping with the situation. Hopefully everyone's doing well. And doing their best to be isolated and stay entertained isolated, because it's truly a time like no other. So we're just here back this week to provide more entertainment, more something for you guys to listen to. We got something special coming tonight, special. So you got to make sure you're listening to the show the entire night. And again, we're just trying to put some positivity out in the atmosphere because, it's a lot going on. And I know a lot of people are trying to stay afloat and stay sane. But nonetheless, hopefully you're staying inside and sanitary and all that other good stuff. So, but let's speaking of all of that, let's kind of talk about the COVID-19. And still, as we're about although it's been around for months, we're about 3 weeks into like really adequate changes have been happening within the world of sports. Obviously, professional wrestling. This will be our third week, also highlighting things that's been happening with it. So we're just going to kind of go back with another update of things that's happening, and because it's a lot. It's unique and it's different. And I think for what it's worth, everyone's trying their hand into trying to still put out content and make best with the situation. And I will say this too, by the way. So doing podcasts and stuff like that, sometimes I envy people's setups because people got like amazing setups, like just the whole aesthetics and everything. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like, gotta get there one day. It's cool that because everyone is practicing social distancing, that everyone's running setups just like ours all the time. Like Talking Dead, Chris, what's his name? Chris
Hardwick,
thank you. Running it straight from his room. Hell, Marcellus setup looks just like Chris Hardwick's setup. TMZ had
like the blinds?
Yeah, right. TMZ had a team of like 30 people all on there, and it's just everyone had their setup. So it's kind of cool that everyone's taking their best precautions in doing so, but everyone's aesthetics are like all on the same par. So like, good job, people. We're all professionals here.
We're right on the cutting edge with our setup these days.
Because Lord knows I was like, oh man, do I gotta dump some more money into making it look all nice and all that other good stuff? But yeah. But anyway, yeah. Speaking of that, let's get us a little bit of update of COVID-19 and what it's doing into the world of professional wrestling. I think this is going to be the third or second week of empty arenas. Is that what's happening? Is that what week one?
With SmackDown, it would be week 3. Yep. SmackDown started 2 weeks ago.
Right. This will be week 3 for us. So it's 2 weeks for the Wednesday Night War stuff. 1 week for Raw.
2 weeks of Raw.
2 weeks.
2 weeks for Raw. Yeah. Okay. So. But how you guys feeling about it now? Overall, beyond just that, how you guys feeling about everything that's happening in the world? Any personal attachments to it, or just anything that's kind of making you raise your eyebrows a little bit as far as on the bright side of things, the positive side of things here?
Well, after we came off last week where we really broke down how we felt AEW had a more interesting presentation with the different position of the camera shooting at the entranceway, the wrestlers around ringside, we felt that was the far superior presentation to what WWE was doing. So it was really nice to see on Monday when Raw went down that WWE definitely tweaked their presentation this week. They moved the camera. So now they're doing the same setup with the camera shooting the entranceway, which I think is definitely better. because you have like, the lighted background. You don't have like an empty area. I think it works better aesthetically. And then the other big thing WWE did is they got all those empty seats out of the Performance Center, which I think was a great move, because seeing all those empty seats sitting there, to me, it just smacked you in the face that, oh, hey, there's nobody here. So why have the empty seats? I'd rather have the empty space. So I think WWE took a step in the right direction. And then on the flip side of that, AEW came on last night, and we saw AEW had to tweak their performance a little bit, as they no longer had wrestlers around the ring. So the whole magic number of 10, as it's being called, the 10 and under restriction, I guess, did in their ringside cheering section with the heels on one side and the faces on the other. So between the changes WWE made and AEW having to alter theirs a bit, I feel we have like an even playing field now for what these empty arena shows are aesthetically and how they're being produced. And they're just kind of what they are at this point. They're I think it's a situation where it's the best you can do under the circumstances. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, okay. For me, and I said this off air, I'm getting to the point now where this is going to be a little bit more commonplace now. Mm-hmm. So now the initial aesthetic is wearing off for me. Now it's okay. What I attribute this to, what I connect this to, is when you're working Broadway and you're doing your performances on one of those off stage areas, or like, real small theater where it's just the director, the stagehands, and the talent, and that's it, in getting ready for prime time. Now, that's all novel and good for Broadway and for theater, but for professional wrestling, where a big chunk of a match can be how invested a crowd is. Mm-hmm. If there is no visualization connection between a crowd and the actual match, do we as fans remember it as fondly? Or are we going to say, well, like you said, well, given the best we got, given the circumstances, we'll just make do what we have? Because I'm starting to worry that people could put out banger matches and it's going to fall by the wayside because nobody was there to watch it live except on television. So as we get 20, 30 years from now, is this timeline going to be remembered at all for the matches, or just for the trivialness of, well, because of COVID-19, we had to make the best of it, kids. So back in my day, we did WrestleMania without a crowd. And that's the story as opposed to the matches. So that's where I'm at in terms of empty arena stuff.
And I'm actually, you said that, Damian, because I mentioned this in the group text that we have, or our group chat, but I also mentioned this on the show before, where a part of my past is when I was a senior in college, I had to take one class just to get enough credits to graduate. And during that fall semester, I had to take this class on Friday afternoons from 1:20 to 4:20, which is the worst time if you're in college. But it was unarmed stage combat, which was a theater class. And with this theater class, it really taught me a lot. And this is where it took my level of wrestling to a big level, because they really had to teach me of how to work with a partner and doing physical stunts without hurting people. And that's what wrestling is all about. But a big aspect of that class is knowing how to sell what you're doing to either a crowd full of people or when nobody is there, because you have to make it look realistic. And now what wrestling needs to do in general, it needs to transcend of crowd reactions and trying to apply a same reaction just at home. Think about when we think about sitcoms or shows that's on now. They either have laugh tracks or they have nothing. But if somebody wants to be funny, you have to trust that whatever you're doing is comedic enough that without knowing what reaction you'll have, somebody at home is having that reaction. When you think of shows like The Office, they are very successful on that because they have no laugh track, but you have to think whatever they're doing, they have to make sure they get that reaction. That's where wrestling needs to transcend, because now you're taking a show built off crowd reactions. Now you have to build that story anticipating you're going to get those same reactions at home. And that's why and I mentioned this a little bit yesterday, was one particular scene on AEW that was very alarming to me because I felt that reaction. Because granted, it could be us four. We're talking about a pen I have in my hand, but we're going to sell this pen somehow that we're going to get a reaction. Now, the reaction right now we have is the four of us, but we have to see when people watch this, if we can make this pen a popular thing, then we've done what we're supposed to do, whether there's a crowd there or not.
Right.
Yeah, I do agree. And I think too, like, Will's initial point, I think this is what it is. I don't expect to see anything coming more revolutionary than what it is happening now. They're coping with the situation, and at the same time, too, as much as they're putting out product for us to watch, they also have to really maintain and sustain their own health, both home and personal. And that could put a wrench in certain bookings and travel, whatever it may be, just even precautions. Some wrestlers have been very adamant about not feeling safe. That's a personal choice. So as far as what it is, I just think that this is what it is, and so either going to like it or you're not going to like it. And we know wrestling fans are going to hate it and still watch it. So
exactly.
No, in a lot of ways, there's like a giant asterisk right now on everything that's happening. And that's, I think, how it's going to be remembered down the road. It's like Damian said earlier, it's going to be known as the WrestleMania that there wasn't a crowd, or the WrestleMania that was at the Performance Center, or the WrestleMania that they had a match at a graveyard or a match at the beach, or however they're going to do this thing. It's everything that's happening right now is going to be like this moment in time with a giant asterisk on it. And eventually we're going to get those weird documentaries down the road about when wrestling
30 for 30,
when wrestling had to deal with COVID-19 and what it was. And we'll have everyone talking about, there wasn't anyone there for when we came out the tunnel. It was weird. And it's an odd situation. And it just, I mean, I hate to say it is what it is, but it is what it is. At this point, I don't think I can't think of anything else that can be tweaked. I think that could really make a drastic change. You can make some slight changes, but I mean, what else can you do if you can't have more than 10 people in one place? I mean, that really handcuffs you on this stuff.
I honestly think something you brought up now that just triggered for me is this is the litmus test for other sports that are now not able to actually have crowds, to see how many people through pay-per-view, through pay-per-view buys, through networks, through YouTube streams, who is going to be watching like a Nielsen rating now because there's no audience. So now other sports leagues will see this and say, maybe there is a way for us to continue our regular seasons without a crowd there, be it closed circuit television, some deals with their respective networks where they can still make money and still have a viewing audience. We're still getting a little too close to the people in WALL-E, if you've seen that movie, where the isolation is just our screens and that's it. But I think this is a really good litmus test, and I'm glad Will brought that up, because now I'm thinking, okay, the NBA could probably pull this off. MLB could pull this off, because MLB was supposed to start their season today. So I'm really interested to see the kind of energy the performers, and also to Marcellus's point, how the performers are going to channel their energy knowing that there's not going to be a crowd that's going to pop or boo physically there. Maybe they can stream it where there's a crowd noise from the internet, people watching it to pipe in crowd noise to simulate that kind of thing. But I'm very curious to see now what wrestling does in terms of the greater scheme, and now with terms of sports, how they can use this as, hey, we were the innovators here. We were the test subjects to pull this off successfully. Now everybody else gets to follow suit.
And Damien, just to add to that, and this is kind of a shoe into your side gig with the sports. The NBA was talking about that today, actually, through rumors, that the litmus test that actually could be, and once again, this is all speculation, they'll finish the season in Las Vegas that will be replicated of their summer league. And you see how successful their summer league has been in Vegas the last couple of years, that could be an extension of that, of how they'll finish the season, which could be a sample of what they're doing with WWE using the Performance Center.
I was going to say, too, I remember when Edge returned to Raw on that episode and seeing him in the ring. And for a very slight second, I thought I was watching an episode of Tough Enough, because it just felt so eerie.
That's another one.
I was just like, But with the conversations that's being said now, it made me think about it. Like, this is why some of these professional wrestlers are some of the best in the world, because this is a circumstance that you trained for initially years ago. And years later, you're able to still rekindle that magic and that skill to perform. And why that's special is because we know in a lot of other sports, things that people are taught initially it's usually a lost art. For instance, baseball, you're told to swing through with both hands. Find me one MLB player that does it. Very few. It's the half swing and release it, and it's bad. It's not proper technique. But people have said, well, I don't have to do it that way. I can do it this way, and that's what it is.
Yep.
I can imagine some wrestlers like, well, I don't have to actually cut a legitimate promo because I can always just go feed off the crowd. Well, if the crowd's not there now, the crowd will always be there. But if the crowd's not there, how do you adapt? To see Edge go out there and do it, Jericho, Matt Hardy. I was about to call him Matt Ryan. Matt Hardy. I mean, these people
troubles right now.
I don't have nothing to talk about with QB. To be honest, it's a sad day for me because the Cam Newton thing and John Jones things have been killing me mentally right now. Killing me right now. But no, just to see the true pioneers and legends, living legends in the world of professional wrestling, how they're able to adapt and cope with this situation, I think is truly underrated when we're giving appreciation to the fans. Sure, the overall product is good and they're doing the best they can, but that is skill to be able to go out there and say, all right, I can do this without the crowd reaction. Because if anybody's ever played in sport, that reaction or being cheered is
nothing like
people feed off of that. It's another form of adrenaline. And it takes you to places that you probably never been, and then that adrenaline, you catch a high that you always wanted. You know what I mean? Look, we talked about it in the sense of like, talent who can't even work between face and heel, yet alone taking a factor out of being a heel but not having a crowd. How do you still operate? It's truly remarkable to see some people doing that. And again, Jericho has been stellar with what he's been able to do with that, and other people have said it's really it's a unique time, but I mean, people are really truly doing the best they can, and superseding for the cards that are being dealt. So,
let me ask a question. Actually, we're talking about it since WrestleMania. This is going to be, like we said, the WrestleMania where nobody was there. How do you better market it now? Do you kind of steer into the skid now to say, be a part of the Mania where no one was there as a marketing technique?
They kind of are. They put out those T-shirts for wrestler. I wasn't there for WrestleMania. So,
ladies and gentlemen, I am going to do you a solid, a super solid right now. By all means, if you want that shirt, just wait until April 15th ish and get it for the $5 because that is all it's worth.
Definitely don't need to pay full price on that. They will be unloading those real quick.
Not at all.
I do like that they're leaning into that though, with like I wasn't there for WrestleMania and still keeping the pirate ship theme because, like you said, they're still doing all the branding with the pirate ship that they were going to have at Raymond James Stadium. So, are they still going to have anything like that for the show when it actually airs? Is there still going to be some pirate ship theme stuff? Or are they going to have some people with some eye patches? I'm really curious what they're going to do, since so much of WrestleMania is the over-the-top extravagance, the big, huge sets, the big, huge setups, of course, the gigantic crowd. If you can't have the gigantic crowd, are they maybe going to do something out in the parking lot and have someone show up in a floated boat that's going to like kind of get pushed down the road or something? Who knows? I mean, it opens up a lot of creative possibilities that they wouldn't otherwise be able to even consider doing, since it'd have to be done in, the typical stadium format. So I'm curious what they do with this.
What?
I got something for
you. Do they
you,
have to lose here?
Exactly. They have nothing to lose at this point.
I got something for you that could really work. And let's think about the time that we have right now. So we don't have any movies, right? We barely have any new TV shows, and new TV shows that's coming out. What are they doing?
Quick plug, new Big show dropping on Amazon, Netflix, April 6th. Just dropped my review for it on YouTube channel. Check it out.
So, and I'll put a quick plug on too with the Big Show. That was actually filmed in the same studio that Family Reunion is being filmed in currently.
Nice.
They use that same studio on Paramount. So just a quick plug to Family Reunion if you want to keep watching that as they're going through their filming as well.
As wifey is heavily credited on that, so ultimate plug there.
Yes. But one thing that they could really do that could be very effective is throw a trailer. It could be something that's very small, because if we already know some of this stuff is pre-recorded, right? So why don't you tease what you might see to get an anticipation of what will be shown on the 4th and 5th without showing a lot of stuff? So just like we do when we talk about Black Widow or, Wonder Woman 1984, you tease some things where you show a little bit, but you don't show a lot of it because you want to get people intrigued. So people wonder, well, how are they going to do this on April 4th or April 5th? Throw like a 30-second, 45-second teaser where you show like word effects and then boom, a quick 10-minute montage of quick action of what you will see.
I love this idea, by the way, because apparently they're filming matches tonight. Yesterday, something of that sort.
As we speak, stuff is happening. Supposedly,
now my eyebrows are up, and I am overly intrigued to see if any of that is to come for tomorrow. Also, why I think this is a good idea, because and definitely make sure you steer me on the right path here, because this is not speculation, but I just don't have all the facts. I know that every time WrestleMania happened, they do have partnerships to show an hour on different networks and
absolutely
whatever it may be. Obviously, them and ESPN are in each other's pockets. They owe these partnerships that they would initially have TV time.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I think, if I understand correctly, trailers also generates revenue. We know Vince loves money. I think that what you're saying should also be really dedicated to some of these networks that really thrive off these commercials and such, to also, direct people into their happy hour, we'll call it, of their programming that they're going to have for it. I like the idea. I mean, again, if WoW and Lucha Underground stuff have done this technique to the T, and even Impact, WWE, by all means, with the heavy pockets that they have, should be able to create something unlike anything else. I mean, they do create these trailers or promos for ticket sales. Give us something with these pre-recorded matches. Give us a little bit of that. And I think that will, because this is one of the first times they've ever been able to have to do something like that. I'm all the way for that. That's a hell of an idea. And I really hope that we see a couple on ESPN, a couple on what other station do they show it on? Fox?
FS1.
Oh, of course, Fox.
FS1. You can do USA, and you can drop it on YouTube first, midnight, and then you could do, whatever you want to do it to create that revenue. You could say, hey, watch this. At 7 o'clock, we're going to show a fresh trailer what WrestleMania 36 is going to be like on TV. And once again, you can even do it on Fox, whatever you want to do. It would just be a great way to just produce what you can expect to see.
Be a true producer and record multiple endings.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could.
Like Netflix did. Yes.
Everybody does it. Every show that has, big conclusions, record multiple endings to avoid spoilers and piracy, but also to keep fans intrigued. I mean, show like Power, where it was kind of like who was going to be the last person to kill Ghost. They say they recorded 6 different endings for it, and they end up, going with one initially. But come on now, we're talking about WWE inside the Performance Center. I have all the resources in the world to be able to do it. Record that match ending multiple ways and drop them in trailers and as hint. That way, you want to talk about getting people invested and not being able to stray away from spoilers that may leak online. No one knows, because you have multiple endings.
Exactly. And if you think about this, you can use that as a cliffhanger. Once again, going back to that, going from one night to the next, it's a whole lot of things that you can do with that. Just to capitalize on it. And plus, when we think about WWE production, what do we always say? They always throw the best promo videos, regardless if it's a live show, studio show. They do top notch on that. So with the resources, like you said, they have, it's no excuse for it not to be a grade A version of some type of promo technology they can use to produce this product. It could be very great or very lazy.
And the big thing is right now, they have the opening where these stations are hungry for anything fresh, anything new they can get. I mean, for God's sake, if they could get WrestleMania 30 on primetime ESPN last Sunday night, and they're going to have WrestleMania again on this weekend, that says all there is to be said. If ESPN's willing to give up primetime television to WWE to just show old WrestleManias, shoot, this is an opportunity you do not get. So take it for all it's worth. If you want to put a little sizzle reel together of like, oh my God, here's a second of Becky Lynch's entrance from WrestleMania. Oh my God, look what she's wearing. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't you do it? Like we were saying, given the circumstances they are in right now, there is nothing to lose with the way this is shook out. So shoot, swing for the fences, go for it. Any idea right now, I think is worth exploring. You will not have an opportunity like this again. So hell, go for it.
Hey, key point. What else are people watching right now?
Exactly.
Tiger King.
Tell us how you really feel, Damien. But no, seriously, if there's no programming, if sports fans are dying for their shoot up, WWE is in a golden spot that they probably not even just go to WWE, but I mean obviously WrestleMania, but all wrestling are in a golden spot right now to really produce high viewership because people are like, well, what can I watch? And then WrestleMania, for the really prestigious name that it is, people are going to tune in just because they know what that name must be, no matter whatever the circumstances. People, I'm very curious to see what the rating's going to be. But what also is interesting is that I really like that WWE's initiative right now to be recording things just so they don't get themselves in another predicament with the governor of Orlando potentially shutting everything down.
Yep.
So
good point.
They're in a position right now to really make this, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, they're probably going to be at that performance center to 4:00 in the morning right now. Time is of the essence because
it has to be
these updates, especially like in DC here. Muriel Bowser's on here every 2 hours, it seemed like, with a new update. So I can imagine if Orlando is going to be thinking like, you just never know when you get that announcement. Like, all right. And they know exactly where they're going to go after. They know WWE is still a player in the game as they tried to extend as long as they could with Tampa. So they know that that's going to be a suspect number one as to making sure they follow regulations. But again, come April for 2 nights, people are going to be looking like, man, there's nothing on. But
especially primetime Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Ain't no March Madness. Ain't no baseball.
Yeah, they got the Grand State
Championship.
I don't even think there's a TV show to compete with it on Sunday, like Game of Thrones or any of that sort. This could be.
Oh yeah, there's nothing.
This can be like legendary as far as the viewership they can have, considering that people are just looking for something to absorb. You know what I mean? And you can laugh what you want, but the people that's making memes and they're talking about their entertainment, they're just having a good time of watching I can't even think of the name of it, but the Olympic thing with the ice shuffling.
Curling. Don't call it curling,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
Curling's a great sport.
Canada's finest, baby.
But the memes of people like going off crazy, celebrating and stuff like that is just like, it's true because people are like, I need something to do right now. I need something to watch. And everything is and not even just that. Speaking of like Sunday and television, yeah, Game of Thrones is off, but like other shows such as The Walking Dead, they can't even complete their season finale because they can't get together for post-production, thus extending their finale all the way until like the end of the year.
Right.
A lot of shows are getting affected like that.
Exactly. Now think about like what are people going to be watching for real? And like Netflix is probably going to start kicking up like crazy with people streaming, considering that they still had a bunch of stuff stashed in the bin to release. But like these other television shows that did not really plan for this, because it's a schedule, it's production, show, break, and there's no like, hey, record something early enough and release later. It's when they're done recording, they're done. Those episodes are done, they're done. So
I'm curious now that we brought this up, because we were talking earlier about staying at the Performance Center until 4 a.m. How much stuff, not even just Mania, not even just TakeOver, how much content can either promotion put in the can?
Exactly.
In a short window where it doesn't burn their talent out or the production teams out to the point where we have, let's say it goes another 2 months, we have 3 months potentially of content that is only going to be devoured because it's wrestling. It's the only sport that's on right now.
Yeah. I would think kind of one of the big hurdles right now is, as we mentioned before, that damn rule of 10, that they can only have 10 people on location at a given time. So if you're constantly having to like shuffle people in and out, it's not like you can just call everybody in down there like they would normally do and be like, hey, everybody get down here, and you got everyone on set, and then you can just like kind of switch people in and out of the ring and be like, okay, you two go now, you four go now,
Exactly.
you two go now. They got to really logistically think this out a lot harder than normal and be like, okay, bring group A down, and we can only film stuff with them. And then once they're out of the way, okay, bring these 10 in. And they got to like, that's got to be like a lot more of a mess than we're really considering, just the limitations on what they can do on a location at a given moment right now to not be in violation of that darn whole thing with 10 people in one spot at one time.
But think about it this way too. Go ahead. Daniel.
Go ahead, Marcel. Go ahead.
Look, if you think about it this way, if you have a 2-hour, let's say, for example, let's take the 6-pack women match, for the SmackDown Women's title, right?
Right, yeah.
And you have all 6 of those characters. Now, let's say that match would go 15 minutes. That could be the last thing you film. But what
Also
you could
5-pack.
do, 5-pack. My fault. 5
No, it's 6, but it's 5 now. We'll say in a second.
Okay, got you. So with that, you can do the match last, which will last about 15 minutes, because you don't really need to re-edit the match because they're professionals at doing that. But what you could do on the front end is load the post-match stuff that starts feuds, interviews, content of that nature. So that way the match is the last thing that's filmed. So that way you don't have to worry about people being sweaty and changing and all that stuff, because you do the non-sweaty things first in that 2-hour gimmick. And you can really get a lot of content within that 2-hour frame if you have just those 6 women there. Then you move to your next set.
Yeah, I was saying 5 because Dana Brooke was sent home for not feeling well. So they pulled
Ray
her.
too.
Yeah. And who?
Ray Mysterio, which is the more concerning one because he had that match with Andrade last week on Raw. So that's the one that I raised my eyebrows the most. So nothing's been said yet, but yeah, Ray and Dana Brooke were both sent back. But being Ray was actually at the PC a week ago Monday, that's the one where it's like, okay, hopefully it's nothing. Hopefully everything's good. And I'm sure that's weighing over their head this week as they're filming all this stuff and to even light more of a fire under them to be like, we got to get this done now.
That would be traumatic.
Get this done now.
I'm curious. Would you?
I'm reading that Brie Bella reveals that her husband Daniel Bryan is to go into quarantine soon. He has an autoimmune disease, so he's just playing it safe.
Okay.
I'm just playing it safe. Okay, yeah.
Okay, but really quick, Damien, the tough question to ask here, and I believe I've had this conversation a few times. I don't know if we've ever actually discussed it on air, but what is the chances if anybody was to come down with the COVID-19 that they formally announces it?
They won't.
Particularly as a person. Okay, so here's the thing. Lakers had 2 players come down with the coronavirus. They didn't state who. WWE, do they even protect the people, or do they just not even say anything at all?
I think they're going to treat it like a lot of the sports teams that they themselves don't admit, hey, person A has it, but it'll get leaked out by someone. Somebody's going to tell TMZ. Someone's going to tell somebody else.
Not the Saints. Not the Saints.
Well, we knew who the Saints was. It was their coach. So
yeah, but the Saints made it clear. They was like, that guy. They didn't even. Yeah. So
I mean, think of it this way: in the NBA, when Gobert was the one that was linked to be patient 0, when this all started, Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz. Before that, you weren't hearing any kind of rumblings of who may have it, who may not have it. It wasn't until, he's the first. And then it just started snowballing. And then some teams kind of just took it upon themselves to either not announce it or to just say, like you said, generalize it. Well, we have person A and B potentially was sent home, like Will said before about Ray. So from a business standpoint, I don't see WWE saying it to the crowd, to the general populace, but I can see someone leaking it to Meltzer or Alvarez or whomever. And then they run with it and said, well, Dana Brooke was the one that had it, or person A, Ray had it. So I don't think they would want to shoot their talent in the foot like that. But then again, this is WWE we're talking about. Vince's business practices are highly dubious. So So to go with my original question, I just want to say, how gimmicky would you get with Mania? Would you have every single gimmick match under the sun to make it more interesting, like a Hell in the Cell, a ladder match,
Boneyard,
standing, Boneyard? Like it seems like that's where we're going. So we're gonna have like a pirate ship match coming up soon with Paul Burchill making a run in.
Welcome back, Paul.
We'll definitely discuss the possibilities of that a little bit later on tonight. Now, I said in the beginning of the show we were going to have a special guest on the show tonight, and I think it's about time that we transition to that now. So, with that being said, I will bring him in right now, and our special guest for the night, the octopus himself, ROH superstar, Jonathan Gresham. Let me get him in here right now.
There's the man.
Up, you're on mute, my man.
There it is.
With this.
How you feeling?
I'm pretty good. How are you guys?
Pretty good. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to come chat with us. How's everything going on during all of this, man?
It's very slow. Not much going on, to be honest. It's me and my lady hanging out and trying to just make the best of it.
Yeah. You guys staying physical, or what type of activities are going on? Like, some for two people that's constantly in the gym every single day. I talked about the last time we spoke how you completely like revamped your physique, and at the Powerhouse Gym each and every day, training at the ROH dojo. Now that everything has just been, this is truly a whirlwind, and for somebody that has a profession that has to stay ultimately active all the time, how are you guys making out with it?
It's difficult, man, because she has a sweet tooth and I have one, so sometimes we buy stuff and the stuff is left over, and I mean it's there. We got to eat it, can't let it go old. So that happens now because we don't have any shows. I guess she's gonna join me. She's getting here now. Here she is.
How's it going?
So, we've been working out regularly. I do, we call it Gotch Bible. It's like a deck of cards, and each number has like an exercise to it, or each symbol has like a exercise to it. So I've been doing those regularly. We go on a morning run or afternoon run. We just got back from a walk.
I've been doing East Body.
Yeah, she does that. So pretty much that. I've been playing loads of video games too, and pretty much it. How you guys doing it?
Well, by all means, you gotta say with video games, but I'd say for myself, and I'll let my other people get in there. It's definitely been crazy. A lot of my afternoon / hobby job, being in the film, working as a film critic and doing reviews. It's just crazy to think that something I kind of took for granted, always going to the movies, is no longer a thing, and who knows where it goes next, because the movie theaters are like, hey, by the way, we're just going to close until this date. They're not even playing this out. They're just like, we're closed this day. And then movie companies are like, so yeah, I know we dropped that on theaters last week, but now it's on video on demand right now. So it's like, the whole period of like being in the theaters for a while, then, the DVD period and then whatever it is, that whole period is gone. It's just now straight to DVD. I mean, and when you got big companies like Disney and Pixar putting content out where they are expected to make a lot of money, and they're just like, here you go, free on Disney Plus. who's the tell what's going to happen next? It's crazy. I think they just got dropped out right there.
Uh-oh.
We're going to jump back in here in a second. I now let you guys jump in there really quick. All right, here you go. We got them jumping back on here. There we go.
There you go. Internet was throwing us a curveball.
That was him.
Yeah.
So is there any fighting over snacks in the house currently?
Uh-oh.
Not really.
I'll let you. No?
Not really. I don't think so.
There
Not
is
on-
normally.
Just buy whatever we want.
Sure, but there is normally, because she normally eats my stuff. I'll buy stuff.
Not lately though, because we just buy whatever we want. We got Fruit Loops over here right now. I was eating a cookie off screen a second ago. We like to press on this. Are we allowed to say swear words or no?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, just for future reference. I got some those big, thick Eric Stevens cookies in the freezer right now.
Oh, those
How
are
are they?
big mamma jammas.
They're too much, man. I've already eaten 2 today, and that's a lot of cookie.
So they live up to the hype?
Yeah, they're really good.
So go ahead. I thought somebody was about jumping in. So the other thing I know, like that's really difficult, is that what type of support are you getting from like either your peers or just either within your respective companies with everything that's going on? Like, is there communication going on, or is it more or less your responsibility to kind of take heed to what's happening, or are they frequently keeping you updated with the different status of operations and so forth for the future?
Well, for me, we have emails going back and forth. There's not a lot of, anything going on because nobody knows what's going to happen next. So I think they're just trying to keep content going with the wrestlers in the company. So it's just like they have something to put out. I can only imagine they're having like a difficult time with television stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's no new footage being filmed. So I guess they have to figure out a way to keep television interesting. So I guess they're doing stuff maybe with old Ring of Honor episodes or something. Not sure. TNA or Impact, sorry. I grew up
Actually,
on
TNA was on this week, so you're right on par there.
I mean, they don't really know what's going on, man. I had to film like a PSA thing today. I guess they're gonna do some kind of like PSA of all the Impact wrestlers. Like, I mean, I think it's kind of weird. They're doing like they made us do like a bunch of suggestions. What do you call them? Not suggestions, but like tips to prevent coronavirus. Like, wash your hands, stay inside, and if you feel sick, don't go to work. Contact a medical provider. It was like really intense. So I had to film that today, and I only imagine they're gonna put that out somewhere. But other than that, we don't know what's going on. They asked me the other day if we were interested in doing like an empty arena show, and I feel like that
bad idea
is not a good idea.
So you're not in favor of the empty arena shows from what you've seen so far?
No, I think it's a terrible idea. Didn't you see the post about that guy who had coronavirus, the indie wrestler arena show?
Oh yeah, like out in like Arizona or something, I think.
No, it was Florida. It was a show that was Epion and what's that guy's name?
That was
the Japanese guy. No, that was in Florida.
I thought it was in Arizona.
There was
so maybe there's more than one then.
Carl.
Yeah, I thought that was in Arizona.
Was that in Arizona?
I'm pretty sure that was in Arizona.
Well, I thought it was in Florida because there was a bunch of Florida guys, but yep, I feel like it's a bad idea.
Florida. Yeah.
What was that?
I say yeah, and of course
what about video
Florida.
games?
What? If we turn the camera to the side, would that be better?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm not really sure why he has it up and down.
So going back to the video games that you guys mentioned.
There you go.
Hey, there we
A little
go.
better.
So
Now going back to the video games
go ahead.
that you mentioned, what games would you suggest? Like, have you been on live Twitch or anything? I see a lot of pro athletes trying to do the live Twitch thing. You got any suggestions for gamers to try out? Have you tried out doing a live Twitch?
I've thought about it, but like I don't know. I'm not really good at the games that I play, so I don't know if anybody wants to watch me play. But yeah, I mean, I don't really play a lot of the popular games that people play, like the Call of Duties and stuff. That's not really my style of game. I've been playing Ark probably a year now. This is a survival game.
yeah, that's still popular. A lot of people play.
Oh, is it?
And yeah, and the demand of having to constantly keep playing it. Yeah, people are still on it.
I can't find any of my peers or any of my friends that actually play it. So that's why I think that. But, I just recently got Zombie Army, the trilogy.
I've never heard of it.
So I've beaten all the recent third-person shooter games. So I got that. I beat like Division 2 and Days Gone. Breakpoint. So
Awesome.
You're clearing out the back catalog while you got the time.
well, I
Steve?
cleared those out like months ago actually. So now I literally have nothing to play. So how about you guys? Anything good?
trying to catch up on retro video games for me, one of the things I invested in a couple of years ago was some of the like retro gaming consoles, like the minis. So you talk about the Nintendo Classic, the Super Nintendo Classic. So this is like a perfect opportunity for me to go back to those games when we're like 5, 6, 7 years old and try to say like, oh, I remember why I played this game when I was younger. But, trying to use that to kill time and bring back retro memories, like retro movies that we see growing up, like Three Ninjas and stuff. Even trying to go back to the OVHSs, just to kill some time, whatever we can do to pass the time.
Mm-hmm. Right on. I feel that. Any outside activities for you guys, or leaving that alone?
I feel like going to Costco's was its own jungle.
That'd be a war zone in itself right there. Jeez.
Yeah. I know for a lot of times me and John talk, we always talk about like people's conducts and just people doing crazy things. And I just think like it is, I swear I hear your voice sometimes in my head just like what the hell is wrong with people? But like it's crazy that it took this word that never even existed until this happened in social distancing for people to understand that like back the hell up off of me. You people shouldn't be right up on your back while you're in the store yet. You go through Costco's now and like they got people walking around like, yeah, space out. Just like, yeah, duh, all the time.
Lines
like,
on the floor.
Yeah, but that's the activity. It's just, but I was telling one of my family members, I said it's I'm not like overly paranoid, but like it's such a weird time that you go outside and the wind blow and you just think you're gonna die because like that movie The Happening. Where like the planet was fighting back, killing people. It's like the way how people are like going crazy over it. It's just like, that's what it started. Like it started to make you feel once you're in the house all the time.
So let me ask you both a question real quick. How are you keeping each other sane when all the rest of the world is going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs because of everything?
Man, I mean, she's not really into it. I'm into conspiracies and stuff. She's not so much.
Ooh.
So she just
Would you like to share the conspiracy?
He just asked how are we keeping each other sane, and you just brought up conspiracy theories. You just wanted to talk about conspiracy theories. You were like, I gotta find a way to slide it in here.
Well, go ahead and share. You brought it up. Go ahead and share.
What's the hot one right now? Come on.
Anyway, keeping each other sane, like I was saying, she just ignored all of my conspiracies. So that kind of calms me down because I don't have anybody to talk to about it. So
so you bust out conspiracy theories and Jordynne smacks it down.
Why are you trying to make this worse? Like, just shut up. Like, even if it is true, like thinking about it so deeply isn't going to help us at all. We're just like normal people. Our jobs are like the most useless jobs in the world. We're going to be the first ones to die. So I feel like overly thinking about it is just like, what's the point?
That kind of thinking, she is going to be the first one to die.
I don't care.
That's good to know.
Yeah, too are priceless.
I'm ready to fucking.
Now it looks like a lot of people are getting creative for finding ways to either pass the time or also to make ends meet or bring in a little money while they're stuck at home right now. So I see a lot of wrestlers are doing the Patreon thing. Some are going to do an OnlyFans, only kind of crazy stuff like that. But it looks like, am I seeing it right that the octopus might be going into the makeup artist business or something here? Little side gig going on?
I don't think so. She just like asked me to do this like 3 days in a row, and I kept like blowing it off until the day it came, and then she was like, "All right, you ready to do this?" And I was like, "Fuck!" I said no, but I did it. I think I did a pretty good job, actually. What do you guys think?
How'd it come out?
I'll go thumbs up approach.
I can't see any of you, so like that's.
It's okay. We thumbs up on that for sure.
I can't see.
But they don't know what to say.
Oh, I mean, I guess they don't understand makeup either. I think it looks awesome.
But yeah, how you guys, and again, because you guys have already kind of been ahead of the curve when it comes down to content making, what type of other ideas could you possibly be dropping or getting ready to do now that you got this extra time? Is TikTok a thing for you guys?
What?
TikTok.
No. I'm trying to make a YouTube page right now that we can both like post stuff on, and hopefully that'll get monetized because I guess that's like a big thing. I didn't do it before because I just post so much on Patreon, But now that there's even more time to make more content, I think that having a YouTube channel that actually makes us extra money will be good too.
Yeah, I told you my pitch before last time we talked. I'm all in for you guys watching your old matches and reacting to them.
That's what we did. There's one coming out tomorrow.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay. And where can that be found in?
I posted it on Twitter.
I didn't even see that.
Oh yeah, I posted like 10 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah. Wrestling Critiques Couples Edition. I see it right here.
Yeah. I'm all for that. Anything else you got coming down the pipeline?
Nope.
Oh no, I don't have anything. Out for 8 weeks actually, so
Probably about a 20-pound weight gain.
As far as content, anything else coming down the line?
I just film myself.
Nope. Just Patreon, a YouTube page. I'm trying to get John to do the Twitch thing, the gaming Twitch, but he does not want to do it for whatever reason.
You absolutely. I know for sure you absolutely get it when it comes down to how anything can be marketable. I mean, the DM's book was absolutely the most golden thing to ever hit all of wrestling. I mean, with all the extra time, I know you say you wouldn't make another one, but why not?
Why not?
Because I don't know. Because people talk shit. It's like I'm so over it. I don't know, man. I just get tired of all the negativity, so I can only take so much sometimes.
I can understand that. So I think one of the most important things, besides obviously subscribing to the content that you're putting out, what is a productive way that you would like to see fans being able to support talent during these times? I think there is a level of urgency where some of us are aware, but ultimately, what would be the message to try to get out to try to help everybody?
I would say, I know it's like a difficult time for everybody in terms of money. So if you can't subscribe to someone's Patreon for $5 a month, that's totally fine. But if you like and share and subscribe to their YouTube pages, just all that stuff that's free as much as possible, that helps us out more than anything, to be honest.
I would agree. I thought you had any comments. You had any comments too?
No.
Yeah, we'll definitely make sure that that word is put out there because again, I'm just thinking we talked about it a little bit in our previous weeks on episodes about how Mania Weekend means a lot to all of wrestling. People come from all over the world. The numerous amount of bookings with the minimum travel that you always have to do. Maybe even the pay is better, which we obviously wouldn't know, but nonetheless, a lot of people look forward to it, and then this time completely wiping that out of existence. And some of these companies may not even be able to bounce back from it. You know what I mean? It's just a really it's the most bizarre. I'm starting to run out of words to think about. It's really the most bizarre time that us as fans of this sport has ever been through, and you guys actually living and breathing it and each and every day. We just hope that it all clears up when we can see y'all back on the road, back on TV, doing what y'all do best. So
absolutely,
that's the goal here, and we wanted to make sure we had you guys on to kind of make sure you guys were holding up good, and if there's anything we can do to kind of help promote that in a positive way. Before we let you guys go, we just had a few questions that just kind of came up in the chat really quick. Let me see. Oh, okay. So here's one right here. So with everything that's been going on, is there any other shows that you was looking forward to a lot that had been canceled?
I was looking forward to Faye Jack. I wasn't going to be there, but I was looking forward to Faye's Gray Sweatpants Battle Royal.
Everyone was looking forward to that one.
That really sucks that that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just looking forward to a lot of the guys that I admire on the independents debuting for Ring of Honor for the Pure Excellence shows, actually. Yeah. So like Yehai, Depp and those guys are getting opportunities at Ring of Honor. I was really looking forward to that. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure when we roll it back around, they'll get those opportunities again. So
yeah. And then another thing, have you guys been, as far as the downtime, have you been doing anything to kind of either protect, kind of work on your craft or anything, revamping your characters or any sorts, any new gear, any of that going on?
No, I've been too depressed to think about wrestling, to be honest.
I hear that.
We had our wedding canceled, guys, so I feel like wrestling is like the least of my worries and my like thoughts, honestly.
Yeah, I knew about that. I just didn't want to, I know to bring it up because of, you know, the preparation, obviously the big celebration around it and everything. And it's just, you know, you put on that prep into it and then the world just pulls the rug right under it. Has there been any...
That like sucked the most for me. I know everybody else said, oh, WrestleMania got canceled, but honestly, if WrestleMania was canceled or our wedding was canceled, I wouldn't be that sad.
Yeah, I could totally understand that. And has the wedding venues and everything been really accommodating as far as everything?
Yeah, everything's been pretty good. The only thing we haven't been able to get like a refund on was obviously our honeymoon. They just basically said they would be able to reschedule it whenever this whole thing got cleared up. We have no idea when that's going to be, so we haven't been able to reschedule anything. And I think we lost about like $600 on flowers, but I think everything else has been pretty okay. It's just the timing is really bad.
Yeah.
Well, being married for 5 years myself, I understand that's it sucks because you look forward to those moments so much. But the fact that you guys are just hanging in there together and enjoying this moment to break your relationship to even a higher level, that's what means more at this time. So kudos to you for that. Just continue to do what you're doing because I know it's going to all work out in the end and everything happens for a reason, even under conspiracies. But we still want to wish you the best on that, regardless of the situation. But everything will work out in this place.
We think so. I hope so.
Yeah.
So, John, before we let you go, you want to chime in with any conspiracies you want to throw out there for the audience?
I'd rather not put them out there. They're a bit wild. So
put them out there.
I'm good.
Put them out there.
Okay.
You might have the inside track on what the heck's going on and how we're going to get out of this thing.
I have no clue. I just hope things go back to normal.
Yeah. Don't we all? Please. Sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
Hear that.
I just want to know when we're getting these checks.
Seriously, when we all getting paid? Everyone's looking for that relief.
There's a little bit extra that I'm looking forward to. I'm about to go online shopping.
I ain't gonna lie. I done spent it like 5 times over in my head already. When they said it didn't pass through the Senate, I was depressed for like an hour. I was like, man, damn, I was going to do this. But they was like, all right, we back and we get more. I was like, yeah, let's do this.
You were already checking off a PlayStation 5 in your head with that thing.
I was like, they was like, the check, they say, to help the economy. I was like, say no more. I will burn that baby to the end of it right now.
You saw that you saw that the Cheesecake Factory told their landlords they're not paying rent April 1st.
Wow.
What a crazy time. Well, yeah, like I said, if there's anything we can do, totally let us know. We make sure that we have all your information that's tagged in this video and the interview and on the podcast so everybody can find you guys' content. Please stay afloat. And like you said, hopefully the times will just pass by soon till we don't know, but we just gotta stay positive and keep pushing. And like I said, can't wait to see you guys back on TV doing what you do best.
Absolutely.
And more importantly, can't wait for you guys to have y'all special moment together because that's going to be fun. I already know it is. So much love to you too, and thank you always for stopping by and chatting with us.
Cool, man. Thank you guys.
No doubt. Y'all take care.
Be safe, y'all.
Me too. Bye.
All right, we're back. That was fun. I think the big thing to take from that is, the tone is this summer. You got 2 of the hardest working wrestlers in the business, and they're just passing the time by. But it's like you said, it's the most really bizarre time, and I think it's important for us to, as they said, to just be supportive, because as much as people are complaining and bashing what's happening online, this is really taking a toll into people's personal lives. And the biggest thing about wrestlers is that they're personal contractors. They don't, no union, or for the government. They got to go out and do the work to get the checks, and I think that's super important that we're always conscious of. But as they said, and as I'll say too, in order to support them, Patreon, subscribing, the easiest things. They said that helps, and likes, all those little things helps, because while you may not be able to, support them financially for your own circumstances, liking and watching material absolutely goes a long way. So you definitely could do that portion. Anyway, let's finish off our night with our last thing really quick, and I think that it's probably the most talked about thing within the last 2 weeks, and that's Vice TV's returning for season 2 for The Dark Side of the Ring. And I don't know who said this, but somebody said this, and I totally agree. It might have been somebody on Facebook where they said, well, I kind of avoided season 1 because I kind of knew about those stories and I thought I knew everything, but man, were they wrong. And that's absolutely how I felt about season initially before watching season 1, but particularly about the things that was going to come for season 2. I was just like, yeah, I already kind of know what's happening, but whatever. But the way how media is distributed now, and hell, with the lack of content to watch, it was just like, hey, I gotta check this out. And man, for season 2 returning, talking about Chris Benoit, what a story. And I'm gonna say this before I let you guys jump in there really quick. As a disclaimer, and you can check out my review for this, both episodes on YouTube right now. By no means am I glorifying his really treacherous and horrendous acts of just pure evil that he committed on those days. By no means. But for Chris Benoit, the character inside of the square circle, the wrestling machine that he was, absolutely, without a doubt, one of the best to ever do it. But actually getting the story about everything that happened, and it not coming through the barbershop, not coming from your friend, not even coming from a magazine or Reddit post that you may have picked up on, but actually hearing it authentically from the people. If you had to close your eyes and say, I wonder what they're thinking, and for all those people to be involved in this project, this was absolutely special. Huge kudos to Vice for being able to put this together. The production for it, the documentary was amazing, and being able to have Chris Jericho as the narrator, and the other people involved, such as Chavo, such as Benoit's wife Nancy's sister, such as his other son and David, such as Dean Malenko and his wife Vicky Guerrero. I mean, it's just a lot. It's a lot. And I know a lot of people want to focus on the emotional side of things, but I'm going to talk about the positive really quick, and I'll let you guys have it. And the fact that Chris Jericho was able to do something that no one was ever to do, and I'm pretty sure that had a lot with also getting all these people in the same room. But not only just that, for him to get David and what's the name again? Sandra. Thank you. David and Sandra to talk after they had not talked ever since the tragedy had happened. Even when Sandra reached out to the Benoit family and they pretty much declined to want to speak to her after the two of them were parallel to being victimized by this, completely being blackballed by the world. The fact that he was able to bring them two together and rekindle everything after all this time is truly priceless to me. It's the happy bow tie at the end of such a really, I don't even know the word for it, but just the really emotionally driven 2 hours of footage and testimony from it. It's a lot, but it was really cool that Jericho was able to bring them two together and for them to get back into watching wrestling together and getting out together and everything and being able to chat. I think that's it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Jericho getting Sandra Tuffoloni and David Benoit together again is the only remote silver lining or maybe good thing that comes out of the end of this 2 hours of a show. Let me put it to you this way. As someone who was very familiar with this case and followed it very closely when it unfolded and knew all the grisly details going into it, that made no difference. Having that whole story laid out again is very tough to go through, even after all these years. And what the first thing that kind of took me for a curve was a large part of the first portion of the documentary focuses on the death of Eddie Guerrero. And that plays a large role in the picture of what happened with Benoit. It's obviously I would say the pivotal point in his life that sends him into this spiral. Once you watch this documentary, there's no doubt about that from everybody involved. The way I've always looked at this situation and seeing the whole documentary just really framed it again for me was Eddie Guerrero's death was an absolute tragedy, a just horrible situation and just heartbreaking in so many ways, from his story of recovery and getting his life back together and reaching the pinnacle of his profession and finally getting it all right and then having it all taken away, and how it just devastated Vicky. As we found out in this documentary, that Nancy was a huge part of her getting through that. And I had no idea about that part. So that was some of the new information that was provided here, that Nancy Benoit had a huge part in helping her get through the death of Eddie Guerrero. The difference to me between these two events is when everything happened with Benoit and his family, that over the course of that weekend, and we found out that Monday night, that was a tragedy, and it was a punch to the gut when we found out. And within hours, it immediately descended into the most gigantic nightmare that you can imagine. I mean, as you go through that documentary and they lay out every little bit of detail of what happened, it's like, it's so dark. It's so just pure, as Najir said, evil, just pure evil. As far as what happened that weekend and just the amount of thought and the time that passed, it's rough. It's a rough watch that you really got to prepare yourself for. When I was done with it, I was like, my God, that was an amazing documentary. I absolutely can't say anything bad about it. It was handled incredibly well put together. I also never need to watch it ever again.
And I will quickly say, and from what Jericho said in interviews, it does not also need to be done no more.
No.
I think that's it.
It's the definitive piece on it. It's the definitive piece on it. Having Sandra Tuffoloni and David Benoit and Vicky, I think those three, and Chavo, having them, I think it's all the people who were closest to the situation that could speak on it. I can't think of anyone else that would have anything to add that could really shed more light on it, since you have the people that were living closest to him at the time. So, I mean, I can't recommend it enough, but even if you think you're prepared for it, let me tell you, you're not. It's a tough watch. It's a tough watch.
And I'll say this, and I know you want to get in there, Damien. One thing, like you said too, Nancy and Sandra's relationship. Sandra and Vicky's relationship is just something you just didn't even think to like really consider. So the other little wrench to that is also too is Vicky's and Chris Benoit's relationship, where while she was also going through it, she also realized that Chris was going through it, and how she had to kind of pull herself up to support him while he was going through it. That whole dynamic right there was a lot. It's a lot, and the most gloomy part about the whole thing is that Vicky was the one who introduced to Chris about writing his emotions out into that diary.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since he had that platform to do so, which is typically used as a positive thing for years, that he was writing, I I don't even know what to say, but he was writing some.
Dark
I don't know.
He was making plans.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can chime in with the journaling aspect, because that's things I tell my clients to do all the time, and all of you know I work, as a coach and a therapist. So when they brought up the journaling aspect about him channeling the events of Eddie's death and what he was going through in that journal, normally that would be a great release for someone. In Chris's case, this was almost a revisiting of the event every single time you write in that journal. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that he had the brain of almost a 90-year-old. He couldn't process his emotions properly when journaling. So when he's reliving this psychologically, it's like Eddie's dying all over again every single day when he's writing into this book. Now, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't emotionally ready to watch this, because as Will said and as Najir said, the first half is just that Eddie Guerrero piece, and then you see how enmeshed Dean, Eddie, and Chris were, Chavo, and it's whoa, this isn't just road buddies. These are brothers from another mother type stuff, and how intertwined all of their relationships are, and how the death of one affected the whole. And how some were able to cope, Dean and Chavo, as best they could. Then you had Chris went the opposite direction and almost internalized Eddie's. I mean, you can go back and watch the Eddie Guerrero tribute show. All the vignettes that people filmed, Chris Benoit is the one that is openly distraught worse than anybody else.
Literally
Absolutely.
broke him. It literally broke him completely. It's so clear watching this.
And you can tell. And as you continue to watch this documentary, and it's great work done all around, I'm more thinking, this is what happens when you lose the person closest to you and you don't know how to cope. Add to that the pressures of being a WWE superstar. And again, preface, I don't condone any actions or anything like that. I'm just trying to make sense of the fact that here was a man who watched his best friend in the universe, who saw his best friend in the universe essentially die, experience that loss, and not be able to properly process it until, and I'm going to give Marcellus a small little spoiler. There's a sit down between Chavo and Chris, talking about it's Chris Nowinski appears in the show. And if you remember Chris Nowinski, he's the guy now pretty much heading up the CTE, where Chris Benoit sits with Chris Nowinski to talk about concussions. Now, and I'll talk about this on the sports show a little bit more in detail. Concussions is the main reason, CTE is the main reason I've pulled away from the NFL. And now just seeing all this play out, me watching this at home, I am bawling. I am sobbing at the loss of life. I am seeing a son without a father. I'm seeing a sister without a sister, family torn apart by an act. It's like watching a crime drama that happened to be a documentary. And even now talking about with you, I feel my blood pressure going up just because it's a lot to process. And for those who think, oh, it's no big deal, it's just wrestling. Nah, this is life. This isn't wrestling. This is about life. And it's really hard to stomach.
As I hear you guys talking about this, I'm the only person that has not seen it yet. And I've told the guys before we went on air, as soon as we're done, I'm going to watch it. Like literally, I have it queued up on YouTube right now on my TV, ready to go. But the fact that as I'm listening, Damien, you said something that resonated with me, like hearing all of you speak. When you guys were speaking, just giving the background context of this documentary, the image that was playing in my head while you guys were talking was everybody on the stage when the first Raw, I think that happened, right? When Eddie had passed. And everybody was up on this stage, and you saw two people that had the biggest emotion. Well, three, of course, were Ray, Chavo, and Chris Benoit. But you really saw at that time, Chris Benoit had the biggest emotion out of anybody. Like literally, it was like he tried to control himself, but his emotions were uncontrollable. And it's like I'm having that image as a preset to prepare myself in watching it. just thinking about the emotional story, and like you said, Najir, it started the segment. Even when you think you know the backstory and it's something else that goes on behind the scenes, it's like, man, I really didn't realize what was going on. And even after this COVID-19, this coronavirus is over, we're going to get a whole lot of documentaries about this time, and we're really going to dig deep about what's going on. Like thinking about what Karl Anthony Towns is going through right now. We're thinking about what other athletes are going through. Like, because even though they're putting on those Twitter messages or those Instagram messages, hey, we're good, we're fine, and they're trying to throw pictures, but it really may be some things that they're not talking about that we may not understand until it gets to that backstory. So it's just going to be really interesting just to sit down and process this. I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be much deeper than the Aaron Hernandez story that we saw, as far as the type of parallels that you get with having that deep backstory. But it just shows that life is real. And even going back to, Jordynne and Jonathan, you have to take these moments for what they are and enjoy life for what it is, and then try to see what you can do to be the best out of it.
Regardless of, what's really the tone of the story, a good documentary is a good documentary. And that's something that they were able to really put together. And it had a lot of authenticity to it for the people and parties involved.
Yep.
And it does have it's an appreciation to it, because it's sort of that backstory that you kind of, as a fan of the sport, that you kind of wanted to know. Put all the speculations to bed. What happened? Check it out, people. I don't want to emphasize too much on it because we're definitely running over our time. It's definitely both episodes on Vice. Episode 2, excuse me, it's episode 1, but it's a 2-hour special. Episode 2 is going to be New Jack. That's right. So
next Tuesday. Yep.
Yeah. So guns are blazing, because they're not letting off the gas pedal with these stories. So definitely stay tuned. And what else they're going to have this season? I forget.
They're doing Owen Hart. They're going to do Jimmy Snuka, and which will center around the murder of his girlfriend Nancy Argentino, the death of Owen Hart.
Deep. Ooh, that Owen Hart might be even better. Worse.
I think Owen Hart. I think it's what they're closing the season with, if I remember right. There's a bunch. It's 10 episodes this season, so there's a lot coming. The murder of Dino Bravo is going to be in there, which is a straight up mob hit. So that's the one I'm hoping they really uncover some stuff on, because we really don't know a lot about it. But just to give a little teaser, man was killed in his living room, execution style, riddled with bullets in his Barca lounger. So it was a mob hit. So that's one I'm really looking forward to when they get to Dino Bravo.
Good stuff.
Well, yeah, I think that will do it for tonight's show. It's definitely a special night, and as we started the show off with, we're hoping everyone's doing their best coping with the time. Definitely keep the positivity floating out there, especially in the internet wrestling community. Support your friends however you can, or your fans, the ones that you are fans of by any means, even if you don't have anything monitorial to be able to do. Like Jordynne said, likes, subscriptions. All the free stuff that you can do, retweets, all that helps, because who knows when the end of this is coming. And as a closing remarks for the show, cut them checks, baby, because we need those.
and listen to Jordynne Grace and wash your hands.
For episode 263, we're out, and we'll catch you guys next week.